Hello, everyone, and welcome to the December 5th Product Analytics Group Sync. I will share my screen. We can go through do we do that? We haven't done the board review. Let's keep it stand-up style. I'm happy to start. I've been focused primarily around the beta release and seeing what we can do to get that going. We've hit a bit of a delay in terms of the opt-in toggle and had to clarify some details around that with Halil, who's currently tasked with that. And then just jumping around to see what else we need to address to get that going. Part of that's also contributing to the 16.8 planning, which is separating the difference between the infrastructure tasks that are ready for the beta release, which is us being ready to get people into the beta versus the launch versus we've officially launched and we're announcing it and that kind of stuff. So hopefully I plan to have that ready for the final planning session for the upcoming milestone. And apart from that, just trying to stay on top of any to-dos and things and stuff like that and getting things like dashboard working again for GitLab.com. So that's what I've been focused on for today, at least. Who'd like to go next?
Yeah, I can go. I have a couple of things on the go. So I did the onboarding video guide for product analytics yesterday. Got some feedback from Jan on that overnight that I'll look at today. It's quite fun figuring out how to record screen and do some basic video editing. I'm working on them handling unsaved changes in Visualization Designer at the moment. So it's basically the exact same functionality we have on the dashboard designer, but in Visualization Designer. And then the main thing I've been working on is the AI experiments and just playing with lots of prompts and figuring out what we can and can't do. So I'll be jumping back onto that later this week. Yeah, that's pretty much me.
I'm was working on adding like a little how we design section to our like team page. And then last night was trying to go through the product analytics onboarding. So excited to go through that. Tomorrow, I think Rob is going to bring Jackie and I along and help us set that up. And yeah, other than that, once that's well, and in the meantime too, I'm hoping to start this afternoon a UX scorecard for product analytics, but I got to figure out like the space I want to do that in and process for that. So working on that. So yeah.
By space, is that like in terms of like what parts of product analytics or like where to actually conduct that? Okay.
What parts and like what kind of journey I want to specifically look at, basically. So any input on stuff that maybe we need a little more visibility on, that'd be super helpful.
I don't know if you want to take a look at what Kevin did previously, but he put together a few things in Figma that go through the journey of creation, dashboard design, and visualization design. So it might be good to see where we've come from, or you may want to start from scratch. But those are the workflows that I remember he covered.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, some top of mind, just to put it out there, is probably rather, like how dashboards work currently, and then the growing need to add more flexibility towards it in terms of filtering, saving those filters, additional time breakouts. We've been very maybe apprehensive is not the right word, but conservative in terms of let's not add the kitchen sink because this is going to be very messy very quickly. Which we've kind of done with the designer experiences, but I think we've showed some restraint there. That's the other thing too. But anyways, people are going to want a lot of flexibility with the customizable dashboards. We have to obviously make sure that's in line with what we can provide, not only in the backend functionality, but in the designer experiences, as well as the, what can we actually reasonably support from a performance point of view. And then, yeah, we give people all these controls, but will they actually intuitively be able to reason about it or not? And then of course the whole custom dashboard flow is like the biggest one of it, or one of the most complex ones that we have in the category. So
okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
On my side, I'm finishing up updates to the Qualtrics survey that we're going to use for feedback from the dashboard listing page. I had that back from one of our UX researcher, Nick. So I'll get that incorporated probably tomorrow. I think that's all I'm working on for this milestone, other than the milestone planning and some launch items.
Nice. Then I think that covers the pseudo billboard review. Thanks everyone for sharing. I guess any blockers or anything like that anyone would like to call out, just for the sake of calling those out.
Just the setup, but that's going to happen tomorrow, so should be good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. If that doesn't get it sorted, I'm also happy to spend some time to walk through it. But
Okay.
I think you're sitting with Rob.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. Then Ellen, you've got the next point on the agenda.
Yeah. I have been running prompts over and over and over and over again and going slightly loopy with trying to think up new things to try. So if anyone has any kind of standout things that I think that customers might be asking in AI natural language querying, please add them in there. I'll send them to me on Slack. Yeah, it's very easy to get really good results and then try something that you hadn't thought of and it all starts to fall apart. So yeah, looking for a wider range of prompts.
Got it. I see. And just to vote or potentially vocalize, Rob and Graham have added some questions there. I can toss them in as well. But thanks for the contribution there. I think I guess you're trying to just get a collection of potential questions we would ask, but is there a level of scope you're looking for in terms of how simple or complex the question should be, in terms of like scoping out the POC to help kind of narrow down what questions we could suggest?
Yeah, I guess not super basic things. So a lot of the questions that I started with were around our existing built-in dashboards, like thinking of a question that would result in what we have on those dashboards. But it's sort of where we get a bit more complicated than like what are our top pages, where it's just sort of querying a single thing and sorting it. It's where it starts to compare or yeah, it gets a bit more complicated. So less simple would be good.
Okay, good. Because I was literally about to suggest what are my top pages, so I'm glad I asked. But then doing like maybe week over week or something like that, like what pages have and I'll write this down, but yeah, what pages have performed worse? I mean, that's an interesting subjective-ish question, right? In terms of like, does the LLM know, does the model know what worse means, or which has suffered less page views in the last week compared to the prior week or something like that, to see if it can. Not sure how we would do that in Cube anyways, if to do like week over week or period over period comparisons, but that might be interesting to see what it comes up with.
Yeah, those are some of the good ones as well, where it doesn't naturally line up with the Cube schema, and non-standard timeframes as well, like what happens on every third weekend of the month and stuff like that. Like how we would even interpret that. Yeah, it's good to try.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that. Cool. I got a couple questions individually around the recent changes in PTO. Is that safe? That's not safe. That's on our handbook. Just double checking. So we had some changes to the PTO. In terms of material things you need to do, and Graham, this might be a completely separate process. I don't know how Jackie does it, so feel free to disregard this. But currently, how we do things should continue to be the way we do things. I just wanted to clarify that. If there are issues in terms of like length of time off in relation to like priorities and things like that, I will bring that up. But I don't think so, given basically just how much we've been doing. But that is really the only material change. As far as actually filing it, just continue as you were. Use time off by deal. That should be like the number one thing you file it in, because that's how we just track it across the company in general. And then for times that you're taking a longer TTO, coverage issue should be necessary if you're going to have things that are like may be still in progress by the time you take off. And then as usual, planning issues, we call it capacity. So ideally you would know what before we kick off the milestone, but things can change and we just need to update it accordingly. But yeah, that feels like I think it was partially because it was due to it was grouped with a bunch of other changes, and so kind of people started asking about it. But really, this shouldn't be any different than to how we're doing things. But I just kind of wanted to reiterate that, like, yeah, kind of the details in terms of responding to P2 might have changed, but the process for like communicating it hasn't. So hopefully that was a helpful refresher, if anything. I'll stop for questions. All right, then on to show and tell. Oh, and you've got the first one.
The users quota MVC is all wrapped up, so I thought I should share something in this meeting. I'll just put a screenshot in there because there's not too much going on that page in terms of interaction. But yeah, if you haven't checked it out, there's a screenshot there, or jump into Sam's test group on production that has the 1 year data feature flag enabled, so you can play with it there. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think next steps would then be trying to get all the bits and bobs in place for fulfillment, then the fun stuff with customers dot and Zora, right, James? But yeah, good stuff with the usage quotas.
I think I'm next. So I mentioned it before. I'm adding the different design teams have their own pages specifically about how their team handles design within their specific environment. And I linked the UX group strategy handbook page, and that lists all of them, so you can go through and kind of look at them, and they're incredibly expansive and really interesting to read. And I was planning on adding, at least for starts, a section to our team page that kind of outlines that. Obviously, I'm still learning process and am going to be kind of seeing a lot more of that soon. And so I wanted to at least put like a brief skeleton of kind of our design process and how it relates to the core design process at GitLab as well on our team page. And so I put the drafted MR. It's linked in here, and it's the MR also links to a lot of the information that I put in the agenda as well. But if you go into some of the team pages, the fulfillment and plan team have an exceptionally good version of this. And so my goal is to basically start something along these lines and then keep building on it as I learn more and as we kind of maybe evolve our process and that sort of thing, and put some examples of our work in there as well, so that it's a little more like the other teams have as well. But yeah, feel free to leave any comments or anything in the drafted MR. It's a really concise list right now, like I said, so it's not a huge lift, but yeah.
Is there a high level over, I guess, of the process, like, and if it's just a matter of us reading through the UX department version of it, then that's also fine.
I
I'm seeing things
think
about issue weights and issue labels, so I'm like, so are we continuing the use of like dedicated design issues, or
yeah.
does an issue go through workflow design and then once it leaves, then it's like it can be still an engineering thing, or like what would work best for you, or how does the UX department kind of represent that?
Yeah, that's, you kind of said it. Like we'll continue to do, I think in the current board we have like the workflow design, and then it becomes an engineering, or it evolves into engineering issues. And that's a process that I'm happy to follow. I feel like that kind of follows the product lifecycle well. And that's fairly typical of design as far as I understand. And then the biggest thing is doing like UX weighting and separating, like we have the design specific things from engineering when it is design work, and
Right.
so we can like look at I guess separate like burn downs and progress and that sort of thing. But yeah.
Got it. Cool. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's like you're happy with it being
Hmm.
fluid or flexible, if you will, because some issues may
Yeah.
stay in as one, even though it goes to kind of different disciplines from time to time, but some may
Yeah.
split out or some become epics, and then we have separate distinct spike issues just for design versus back end, and then they may
Yeah.
fragment.
Design's always been difficult to like pin into
Yeah.
some sort of like workflow, so I totally understand. And yeah, I'm that type of flexibility is more than fine with me, and I'm used to it. So it's
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure if there are recommendations from the UX department, we're
Mhm.
happy to see if that works for us as well. So
Sweet.
thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
I'm happy to share or tell, I guess, if anything. There's a Slack thread I linked to of an interesting bug we just came across. So just happy to share it, and also just thankful for the collaboration and that we caught it before we launched for beta. But James noticed that our product analytics dashboard has actually stopped working in the GitLab.com project and only in the GitLab.com project. Turns out somehow the projects can lose their instrumentation ID. It didn't affect event collection anyway. It's just affected being able to actually view the dashboards. So I guess the fix was basically re-onboarding or clicking the onboarding setup button again, which the configurator thanks to some improvements by the analytics instrumentation team, I think specifically Ankit. When we try to re-onboard you to an existing cluster you're already set up on, it will just return that ID. So we were able to recover from that quite well. But yeah, definitely an interesting bug to find out because, and I've noted it in the issue, especially Max, if you're catching this recording, we do want the ability to clear an instrumentation key because in some cases, like theoretically, if a customer is using a managed service product analytics and they want their own cluster or they decide to connect their own, we have that project level bring your own cluster capability. So there may be instances where we actually have to clear that ID and restart that onboarding flow. So there is a valid use case for it, but for some reason it just happened to trigger for us, and we'll dig into why. But something interesting that happened today. So just kind of condensing that, unless you really wanted to read a I don't know 70+ comment thread. So that's my show and tell.
Yeah, it turned off notifications pretty quick into that one. I wanted to share, I shared yesterday in the channel, there's now a second custom dashboard in the main GitLab project because we have another team who's using internal events. And since then, there's been a good discussion today with another team about how to get their internal events into a custom dashboard or get their feature set instrumented and then start sending events and get some internal events for another POC. So starting to see some traction and some more usage of this, at least internally, which is exciting news. I think that gets us to the end. We have any final topics, questions, concerns?
Oh yeah, I'll be out of office starting Thursday, and then I'll be back on Tuesday. So just wanted to let everyone know. I've talked to Jackie about coverage and all that, and I don't think there's going to be any need. But if anything comes up, you can message her in those couple days if anything like super urgent. But yeah.
I have a couple points. Sorry, I'm typing. Okay, so maybe someone can finish that for me. I just want to say thank
for you.
Yeah, thanks to Element, especially for OKRs are by default read only, but I think we've made some good progress there. Check I'll link the OKR. Thanks for digging into a good number of experiments and digging deeper with the natural language query. So I just wanted to acknowledge that. Very exciting to see what we can do there. And also, yeah, this is James's final group sync. So, I just wanted to give a final thank you. It's without you, I think product analytics would be in a very, very different place. So really thankful for your help getting it to where it is now. We're about to get to beta and hopefully we'll be able to get to GA quickly. But with all the work that you've done with fulfillment and usage quota and all the pricing discussions, I really appreciate your work. I think it can speak for the rest of the group as well that we're really it was a pleasure to work with you. So just wanted to
Pleasure
say
working with all you all as well. Looking forward to seeing it hit production, seeing those release notes. It'll be an exciting day all around.
For sure. So yeah. Other than that, there's a couple of kind of housekeeping things which I'll take care of. But any other topics anyone would like to discuss? All right. get 6 minutes back. It's good to see everyone. Have a good rest of your Tuesday or Wednesday, and have a good rest of your week.
Sweet.
See you all.
Bye.
Thanks.